Seems like Ryan Mann's been gone a lot. Is he on some sort of thing going?
No, he's got.
It's top secret.
Oh, what is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's got one of those occupations.
Oh,
Long John Silver's Tuesday nights.
He's a captain himself.
Oh, this guy's gonna give you a run for the money for that open seat. No. Hey, little birdie said 6 o'clock.
All right, I've got 6. You guys ready? 6 p.m. We'll call this regular village board meeting to order. If you'd all please join me in a moment of silence. The Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Madam Clerk, would you take the roll, please?
Trustee Mann. Trustee Brett Gerger. You said he was on his way though, right?
Well, you can't mark him here if he isn't here.
Trustee Kristen Charles.
Present.
Trustee Dewey Detmers. Here. Trustee Matt Mel. Trustee Paul Scherschel. Present. Okay. And President Dave Kimsey.
Also present. All right, any public announcements this evening? Public comments regarding the agenda topics?
Got no emails.
Okay.
Let's see. Comments.
At this point, unless your comment has to do with our minutes, our warrants, the zoning variance, or the setting of salaries. So unless it's on the agenda, we'll have another section for any other comment topics. So, all right. I'll entertain a motion to put the consent agenda on the table. Trustee Scherschel's made a motion. Do I have a second? Second by Trustee Demers. We have a discussion or questions regarding the warrants or the minutes.
There's been an update to the minutes. I reached out to First Dog Camp. It said with regard to Chatham had received water from COLP for a moment.
Okay.
That meant for a month. So she corrected that. That's fixed on there.
Okay. Thanks, Paul.
She did fix it?
Yes.
Okay.
A moment ago. Additional? Okay. Madam Clerk, would you take the vote?
Trustee Ryan Mann. Trustee Brett Gerger. Trustee Kristen Charles.
Yes.
Trustee Dewey Detmers.
Yes.
Trustee Matt Mel. Trustee Paul Scherschel.
Yes.
And you're good with 3, Greg? 3 votes, you're good? Okay, no old business. Under new business, item 1 is an ordinance authorizing a variance to increase the height of an accessory structure above the allowable height of 17 feet at 8989 Gordon Drive in Chatham. Can I have a motion to bring this to the table?
Second.
Trustee Detmers made a motion, second by Trustee Charo. We reviewed this in committee a month ago on the advice of the zoning committee to grant this. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you take the vote, please?
Trustee Mann. Trustee Gerger. Trustee Charles.
Yes.
Trustee Detmers.
Yes.
Trustee Mann. Trustee Scherschel.
Yes.
Thank you. And item number 2 is an ordinance establishing the salaries for the village manager and the chief of police. A motion to bring this to the table.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Charles made a motion. Do I have a second? Second by Trustee Detmers. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you take the vote?
Trustee Mann? Trustee Gerger? Trustee Charo?
Yes.
Trustee Detmers? Yes. Trustee Mao? Trustee Churchill?
Yes.
Okay, additional public comments on village business. And seeing as we have a few minutes before we can start the new meeting, if you guys would like to address anything at this point, now would be a good opportunity to do that.
I came in here 2 weeks ago.
Can you give your name, full name?
Yeah, I'm Will Tracy. That's my name.
How do you spell your last name?
Tracy.
Okay.
And I came in here 2 weeks ago, discussing the possibility of a community garden in South Park. Somebody had reached out to me since then. Must be Pat then. I talked to Pat, and there's a possibility of another location. And I didn't know if there was any kind of headway if you could talk to that gentleman.
I've talked to a person in the subdivision today, and I asked her what she thought. She thought it was a good idea. And then I asked her if she would check with some of her neighbors to see if they would have any opposition.
Okay.
And she said she would do that. I figured since you're not going to do anything till next
Yeah, the
spring at least, then that way I get a feel for whether that will work, and then I will call that landowner and find out if, but there's a large area on the east side of Chatham that is in a subdivision right now, but is currently just empty lots. And the landowner has to pay to get it mowed every week or every 2 weeks. If we could turn around and get him to let us have a portion of it to use, just strictly use as the garden area, I think it would work out great because there's so many neighborhoods right in that one area. It really could be a neighborhood garden instead of something that's stuck in the back of a park or something like that, so.
That's right across from Willows, isn't it?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, and that's so close to the high school, I think that kids might even stop by and say on the way home, check on their plans, something like that. I think that would definitely be a good area. If it would kind of be something that would be possible if I could make flyers hanging out around town, like kind of get the general feeling on how the community would feel about a community garden. If be something I could do, I could do that.
Give me a little bit more time to talk to this guy, okay? Make sure that he's okay with it.
Is that the lot right at the corner of Boardman?
These do need to be.
No.
Right by the.
No, this is in Wellington there, south of Pleasant Day, or the Pleasant Park Daycare, those 3 great big lots there.
And Will, was it your idea or your vision to just have an open area that anybody could sort of reserve their own spot? Like my family might have this corner, and I take care of that corner? Or is it that the whole village is access to any of the vegetables or?
It would kind of be like plot sharing almost, and then there would, we'd hopefully have a larger section that would be like just if anybody had extra plans or something that they really didn't have space for in their own personal plot, it'd be kind of first come, first served basis, and it's super popular. Could eventually be some sort of revenue, but it's not gonna be big bucks by any means, but, yeah, I'd like to definitely have a section where people can just come and go and maybe pick something for dinner that night and go wash it and prepare it and whatever they choose.
And then how do you typically avoid, not that this would happen necessarily, but me just taking a couple of your tomatoes because I'm running low? Like how does, I mean, is it just an honor system?
Yeah, it'd probably be some sort of honor system. I haven't given too much thought to that. I do think that there would be some sort of a station in front where they could, I don't know, get some sort of information on how far wide apart their tomatoes should be planted or what kind of propagation techniques they should use, like for a cucumber plants or stuff like that. There could also be like a sign-in sheet that's open ideas really, but you got Julie Peter Rabbit.
Now the word's out, your neighbors know you're the guy with the 2 extra tomatoes every time.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Did we once have a garden near the electric department?
Wasn't that the,
The Master Gardener is a club.
yeah, there was a
like a
club.
private club.
And they put one up right across from where the exercise building is in the JC storage unit. That ended up, it wasn't a great spot because those guys were always in the way when trucks were coming in and trying to unload. So we offered to put it behind that exercise building, but that thing floods all the time. So when I saw that the other day, I thought, man, this would be a perfect spot for it because they were paying somebody at the time to mow. I haven't talked to the Raves yet, but I would think if there was some kind of an agreement between a group that got put together that they would keep, you know, most of it mowed and planted and looking nice and, you know, maybe garbage cans and stuff. And since it's around neighborhoods, those people would help police it, you know, where if I took it and stuck it in the back of one of our parks, it could go in one day and then a Jeep could drive through it the next day.
Yeah, I think wildlife could be an issue. You know, I don't know what kind of structures you're looking to build to prevent that, but.
Yeah.
Maybe some sort of small chain link fences, what I had in mind with,
I live in the Willows, we've got a lot of big bears and like, stuff, so yeah, I can just reach right over it.
pretty exotic here.
All right.
I
Well, thank you.
think you're gonna have to have some,
Partner to talk to, they have their own garden,
Right there.
and of course they're doing
Yeah,
it.
just south of it.
And, you know, and then maybe they've got a good system going and maybe if people have overflow, you know, if I'm not gonna use all this,
Yeah,
they
they
could
could
donate
donate
it
it somewhere.
and treat it.
well,
Yeah.
what I'd like to see is some kind of a plan because you might have people taking advantage of the system. So I think you'll have to come up with some kind of guidelines. It's a great idea, you know, but I think just draw something out to protect everybody who's planting there.
Like their food safety or more so like their, physical, and should we have lights?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure.
Nice place, but like I think safety wise, are you talking about just like safety of the food that they're growing?
That, yes, and then just some way to make it fair.
Yeah.
I just look into other community gardens because they're successful, they work, you know, but there's got to be some kind of guideline.
So we'll keep working with Pat. I got some other ideas. We'll pass some additional resources on to you, some people that have done this before. I might be able to give you some ideas and address some of the things that Trustee Chara was talking about, but I appreciate it, sir. And then, Madam Clerk, as a matter of record, for all the votes tonight, the consent agenda and the two ordinances, would you record me as a yes on all those as well? So that there are 4 votes on each?
4?
Yes, on all 3 votes tonight.
I thought there were 3.
Yes, record myself as voting yes on all 3.
You wanted to add
Yes,
yours on. I'm sorry.
please do. Okay, additional public comments.
If you want to talk about go-karts or golf carts,
Steve Caton. Actually, I got something else I want to bring up. Branch pickup, if you cut your own branches, I've been aware that we could go down behind the electrical office and we took our truck down there with our own branches. We'd have to come over and get a piece of paper and then go down and dump them. Is that correct?
The recommendation is to put them out in front of your yard. At the beginning of every month, we have a company that goes through the village and picks up branches. So the best recommendation is put them out at the curb, first week of the month. Those guys come by every single month.
we have to pay them extra to go down there and pick up. You think you're doing us a favor, but it's not doing us a favor. It's costing us more by taking it down to the shop because we really don't want to have a dump down there anymore. So the idea is if you trim your branches, if you can hold off till the first full week, that Monday or the weekend
Next week.
before.
Let's just use next week as an example.
Yeah,
Right, okay.
Yeah.
But how, so then you put them out by the street and, okay, I understand that. But I personally have been down there 3 times and I went across the street and got the paperwork and I told them my address and all that. But I also seen contractors in there. Now, they all working for the village?
No.
I see where
but
yours is coming
but
from.
we don't have, once we can say there isn't a dump there, it's a lot easier for us to police then.
Okay.
But somebody goes down there, they got trees, they got a trailer they're pulling down there and they throw that stuff off. If some of our employees are there and they see it's a tree trimming company, they chase them out of there. We've had video, we've called, told someone that we caught them doing it. They came back down there, picked up all the stuff and hauled it off again. But,
The cost is just a fixed fee for each month.
it is, it is.
It's not costing us anything in the current contract.
Well, the current contract, because it's through the end of the year, after that, we don't have to renew that one if we don't have the dump down there anymore. So,
Oh, so
but
they're the ones that are going down there, that company's dumping them down there? The
they're
private
not,
contractor?
no.
Okay.
If they have a small load and they don't want to run all the way into, it costs so much for a certain size truck to get dumped down in there on J. David Jones Parkway, they will leave the stuff there overnight. And then when they fill up the rest of it the next day, then they go down there and dump it. They're not getting paid for picking it up in front of your house, taking it down there, dumping it, and then paid for picking it up. They get a flat fee to keep that cleaned up down there for the year, and they get a flat fee for going around and picking up in front of everybody's house for the year.
But to be clear, yes, we have a village dome, yes, you're more than welcome to use it, and no contractor should be in there.
Yep.
Okay, and the village dump is just for weeds and grass, not even grass, but like just, it's for branch picking.
Those three branches.
But you prefer us to just put them out in front of our house.
Correct.
So I guess what I was gonna get to say was, or trying to say was, is there any chance we could do that on Saturday? Because I have to take time off work, and that's not gonna happen, it looks like, because I have that chance to put it out there on Monday.
Yeah, that's the
Or
easiest.
I mean, on the first.
And it saves you a trip, it saves you loading and unloading yourself as well.
Okay.
And that's why we don't say the first day of the month. We always say the first Monday of the month is the week that they start.
First Monday.
Of that month, that's when they start. So that way you have Saturday and Sunday to trim your trees, pile them out there, and they've been doing pretty good right now, of a week to 2 weeks, 2.5 at times and stuff before they get all the way through town.
They'll start on one end of town,
Yeah.
their way towards your house.
Okay.
And if you think you got missed, you can always call and we'll send them back out.
Okay, thank you.
All right, schedule a meeting, or, I'm sorry, Darlene, you're the only one. I didn't want to miss your chance. Okay. Scheduled meetings, Utility Oversight Subcommittee is scheduled for 7 o'clock on August 31st. Village Board will meet again at 6 PM on September 8th, followed by the Committee of the Whole at 6:15 or thereafter. Public Properties and Recreations, 6 PM September 14th. Planning Commission scheduled for 6 PM September 17th, and the Village Board again 6 PM September 22nd. No need for a closed session, a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Churchill, seconded by Trustee Charo, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting stands adjourned. You guys need to anoint somebody to. You're up, who's doing it? If you're gonna Rochambeau or rock, paper, scissors, or flip coins, make a motion, Dewey. Dewey, make a motion.
I think we can make South Park.
I'd like to make a motion.
We need to start just have to probably put some sort of small like barrier.
Just call it to order.
I'd like to call this meeting to order, the committee of the whole. I'd like to make a motion to allow Paul Churchill to be our chair today with Gerger's absence.
With whose absence?
Christian.
Brett Gerger is normally the chair of the meeting,
Second.
but
Say second.
Second. Sorry.
Dewey, say all in favor.
all in favor? All in
Aye.
Paul.
favor? Got that one?
Yes.
Good, all right.
Oh, boy.
I didn't ask if there was any.
All right.
So you're going to
Now, chair the meeting.
chair the meeting, great.
Will you take the roll, please?
Okay. Trustee Ryan Mann? Okay. Trustee Brett Gerger? Trustee Kristen Charo?
Present.
Trustee Dewey Detmers?
Here.
Trustee Matt Mao? Trustee Paul Churchill?
Here.
And Village President Dave Kimsey.
Present.
Do you have any public comments after?
I do not.
Did you want to say anything on the golf carts? It is on the
No, okay, thank you.
Seeing no comments, consent agenda, do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion.
Second.
All right, motion made by trustee Denver, seconded by trustee Charo. Any comments? Seeing none? You take the roll.
You can do that by voice.
Or, oh, I'm sorry, by voice vote. All those in motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Second.
Aye.
Aye, what are we doing here? I'm sorry. I'm all confused now.
Come on,
See what
everybody,
it
keep
takes
up.
when it's just thrown off by one?
Just to approve the minutes.
Can we just do this over?
And you're voting as well, or no?
Don't need to. You're good.
He doesn't need to, not if you're not spending.
All right, no old business, new business. Do we have any CMT engineering updates?
Jim wasn't going to be able to make it tonight. He told me to fill you in that we're starting the MFT work, concrete work this week. We've got areas cut out on Ptarmigan and areas that we started to cut out over in Parkview. That subdivision has concrete streets, and those are broke up in a few spots that are really, really bad. So we will be finishing up the bad areas on Ptarmigan and then moving over there. And then I think the next one after that is to move to Hurstbourne Lane. So
Any other questions?
Yeah, was there an update on the drainage issue near the electric building?
no work's been done there. The drainage ditch at Spruce and Gordon Drive, though, is probably at 90% completion. They still got some seeding to do and the pop-up drains that go on top of those. But
Is that near Hurstbourne?
no, that's as soon as you come out of Spruce and go south onto Gordon. Come out of Breckenridge Manor and then head south. That ditch there was always soaked. It was always standing water, cattails over the top of your head. Now it's all been buried pipe, rock, and then there's going to be, well, I think you can see 4 or 5 drain spots along there that'll
Yeah,
take,
they're like 2 feet tall right now.
They'll
Are they
get-
gonna stay that tall or?
no, they'll get cut down to flush level, and there'll be a little grate that goes over the top of them after we get this.
I saw yesterday, it was good.
Yeah, hopefully that will take care of that problem. They did,
And our streets department did that as well, right?
they did. They did some oil and chip work this past week, and then, like I said, they sawed those areas out, so.
Anything else, sir?
No.
All right. Item number 2 on the agenda is the draft ordinance authorizing the operation of golf carts as non-highway vehicles on the streets in the village of Chatham. I know, in the last meeting, you asked the table, the committee as a whole actually tonight because 2 trustees were missing and now the flipped, still 2 trustees. So I don't know if you just want to begin the discussion.
To be fair, you and Krista were here both times.
You both did your basically, Fred and I swapped, and
I've never missed a meeting for the record.
in my 3.5 years, I've only missed 2, so, for the record.
The thing that in the last 2 weeks, we've got no input, no request to change. Are you guys completely happy with the ordinance as it was presented?
Definitely not.
Okay.
You know, I
So-
mean, there's a lot of gaps in there, and I think that's where Paul was going, is I felt like more of a conversation needed to be had, and I don't know if that means that we create a subcommittee, or, because this is a big deal.
It is.
In my mind, and I don't think it's something that's worth rushing through, because we could have a situation where somebody buys a golf cart, as we talked about, and then things change, and then everyone's upset about it, but, I mean, this draft ordinance is definitely a start, but I noticed several items in there that I would want to change or reword, or, but most importantly, I think there's just a lot of administrative things that it's missing, and I think I'd like to see a better plan than just approving this as it is.
Would you like for us to try to find some other municipalities' ordinances that you put together for that, for you guys to review?
I have seen them.
Uh-huh.
I have some from other communities, but to trustee Denver's point, I would like to talk to a few more municipalities and see how it's gone there. I've been talking with Chief Foley, and we'd just like to make sure we have a well-rounded conversation, because once it passes, you can't put the genie back in the bottle.
It would be tough.
So, to those same points, and, you know, and I think, I was just trying to pull up the draft. The second whereas, it says something that,
Oh, about the, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. The Board of Trustees of the village has considered the volume, speed, and character of traffic on the village streets and has determined that the usage authorized by this ordinance will not jeopardize public safety. Like I've highlighted here, I'm not willing to say that golf carts are safe. Maybe you guys are or whatever, but I'm not gonna put my name in, so everybody's gonna be fine with golf carts, because as soon as somebody gets hurt, I don't want somebody to look at me about it, but.
What I'm wondering is traffic. How many golf carts are we actually going to have in Chatham? Do we know how many people are going to actually partake?
No.
we've done no feasibility study. I know some communities, this has come up through other municipalities throughout the state, and some have looked at the possibility of doing a feasibility study, and they have found much interest, or they use it to assess the ability to implement being a golf cart community. I don't know that we need to do a feasibility study, but there are open questions in terms of the items Trustee Detmers just mentioned with the volume of the traffic and the streets, to make sure, you know, that our town is set up and we have the right regulations in place, because, you know, and some people may not realize, if you have a regular golf cart that you're putting on the golf course, that is not gonna meet.
Not going to turn signals and all that stuff.
I mean,
Seatbelts.
and so if you're gonna meet these regulations, you're spending quite a bit of dough, you know, to be able to, because it's gonna have to have headlights and
Seatbelt.
lights on it, and seatbelts and all those things, so they're not gonna be cheap to meet this,
I guess that's where my question is it going to be in a neighborhood, or is it going to be on our streets? Like, where do you actually want to use them?
Right, I mean, at this point, there's no, this ordinance doesn't really contain.
But that basically says they can essentially ride in town, cross the main street, and use it to go shopping and stuff like that, the county market. And
How does Springfield do it? Because like Piper Glen has a sign up that says it's a golf cart safe community. And I have seen people riding their golf carts up and down the streets and stuff in Piper Glen. They don't go out on Route 4 with them. But can you designate certain subdivisions, or do those subdivisions petition it, or how does it? I'm just wondering how Springfield, do you know, Greg?
I don't know how Piper Glen
Gets away with it?
Yeah, I can see how you could do it, because Piper Glen is so self-contained in that area that you just restrict all roads. I mean, you can't get on Route 4 anyway with one of these. So
Yeah.
if you carve out an area like that, it makes a little more sense. I know when Rochester passed theirs, they carved out some of the more popular areas, but it's so small they didn't run into the traffic issues that Chatham's going to see. So, I just think Piper Glen's unique in the sense that that is what you picture with a golf cart community. Same with Panther Creek. It's a neighborhood and a golf course with self-contained roads, not through roads.
see, I was interpreting it as a neighborhood thing, so I'd like more input on where they're actually going to
What do you mean by neighborhood? Because we don't have, our neighborhoods aren't designed like, you go into some neighborhoods, they have.
Well, the one behind
they have
County
a couple
Market.
Where they have sidewalks that go behind houses, but for the most part, our neighborhoods
We're kind of connected, but, there's all that area behind County Market would be good. And then the neighborhood,
Creek and-
yeah, all of that would be great.
That would be right on the regular roads.
So, Trustee Scherzer, can I suggest something? I think the points that Dewey called out are appropriate to address, whether you keep the language there or not, but they're appropriate to address. And I think most of them, if you sit back and you ask ask those questions, ask them of our engineer,
That's
Ask
what
them.
I was getting at.
yeah,
earlier.
ask them of our public safety, get those inputs in there first, and then determine from that, you got good points. Is the street design and the layout adequate and appropriate for it? And that's an engineering question to determine, and he's got access to most of those counts. I think we've got traffic counts on a lot of roads. Or
And that's
really
what
good
I was
ideas.
getting at and asking for is that, our village engineer could pull that to make sure that, at least with that aspect of the ordinance, we'd be making a data-driven and informed decision.
Yeah, so I think, I would suggest you start there.
And also, I know trustee Gerber is going to put this on the agenda, and we would want his input as well in the discussion.
When I like the idea, I just.
Have you seen anything where different communities use golf cart routes? Where they have designated roads that the golf carts can go on? Enough to be able to connect all of the subdivisions together, or the streets and stuff like that, but not every single street is allowed for a cart to go down.
Well, there's Peachtree City, which is one of the original golf cart communities, and then you go into certain communities in Florida where, it's almost geared towards more driving a golf cart than a vehicle because of the way you just navigate.
But my thought with that is, if you have certain streets that are designated for golf carts, you're more aware then that when you go down, say Park Street, you should expect to be able to see a golf cart out there if you're driving down it if you're a resident. Now, if you're new to the town and you're like, oh, wait, where'd the golf cart come from? But if we had certain roads that were designated and I could do that easily in the GIS to be able to go and connect a network of roads together, so that if somebody wanted to go for a ride and they lived in this subdivision, they could go down to here and then turn here and go there, and they're going by all their other friends and stuff's houses, but it's all on the designated routes.
It's kind
You
of
ever see
like
anything like that, sir?
Can I say something?
Yes.
You asked about the neighborhoods and stuff. I'm gonna get myself in trouble with chief here, but yeah, that's.
He already knows.
That's what happens. We go to the neighbors, and I'll take my car. I go by, down, Guilford Road, I think. 30 miles an hour. You got bicycles out there. I drove around Coach Works house and through that subdivision, Ivy
Glen.
I'm sorry, I don't remember all the names, and my glasses are fogging, so I can't see anymore. But that's what we do. I unfortunately met the chief, and I didn't even know who he was, and I asked him about golf carts, and okay, that's how we met. And I respect his decision or his ideas and stuff and how he feels about it. Our golf cart tops out at 19.9 miles an hour. That's where mine's a battery operated. Most of the people I'm talking with are going to buy battery operated golf carts, not gas. Would I like to go to County Market over there? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if I'd go because I live over in Hirschberg.
Okay.
Do you have main interest in staying just in your neighborhood?
Yeah.
You don't have interest in trying to get on Park Street, going to another neighborhood?
That kind of answers my question.
I don't know a lot of people in the other neighborhoods. I can only speak for myself, but I'll be honest, got football back. I'd like to get over and go in the golf cart over to a game. And I've already planned my route over by Why Not? Not having you chase me, chief. I won't do it. But to go over in front of Why Not and that new subdivision that connects through. Yeah, I mean.
That's why I'm saying that I think that's something that if you're going to get to the point where you allow this and you get all the criteria in place, instead of just saying you can go anywhere, maybe starting out with routes. and stuff.
There's an app, I think it's called Bike Maps, and it could be used the same for the golf
Yeah.
carts. And it tells the bikes where they can go. And so you could map out and connect the town through an app.
I mean, if someone found us on the bike trail, chief be all over us in a heartbeat. You can't do it. You can set no motorized vehicles down there. I don't know anybody who's trying to do that anyway.
But it would be the roads, have to have the engineer, somebody
Yeah.
help us
So, trustee-
connect the roads.
Sure, so if that's, you want to move it that direction, move it off here for now until a spot in time where the engineers had a chance to go and give it to CMT. I'm sure this is not going to be the first time that their firm has been asked about how to do it, so let's give them some time. You're in the middle of summer, so it won't be quick because they're doing all the road construction stuff right now, but Pat, can you move this on to Jim's?
Can I clarify something real quick, Greg? I actually reached out to Rochester and I spoke to Chief Johnson, and I thought he had mentioned that Rochester ended up not passing one. And I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I was just asking, because I felt like they had a similar structure, because they have Route 29 that kind of cuts through their town, and then they have a north and south street. And he mentioned to me that that's what the trustees ended up getting hung up on, was just crossing those major roads were pretty unsafe. And so Rochester does not have any ordinance for golf carts, but they have some Illinois statute for low-speed vehicles or something. So it's like, there are a couple of carts that run around in Rochester, but Rochester doesn't police it.
I think that I'll go back and check because I'm pretty sure that they ended up going with that on the low speed designation, but I'll go back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to look at their website, I talked to their admin, and then I ended up just speaking with the chief for quite a while, and he seemed to think that there were really no rules and that they really only engage when there's a complaint. But anyway, I just thought it was interesting to hear what they did, because again, I think physically they have a similar kind of town structure that we do.
All right.
Yeah,
So
we're in
to wrap up-
quadrants instead of halves.
Switch it up.
Right.
We're splitting quads instead of half.
Yeah. So, all right, so to kind of just wrap this up, but you'll check on Rochester's
Check on Rochester.
current ordinances, and then you'll talk with Jim and our village engineer on getting some of that information together. Is there anything else on that? We'll continue this discussion.
No.
All right. Thank you, Steve, for your input. Next on the agenda is the village manager update.
Thing I was going to update you guys on this evening is the bike path. The bike path is in bad shape, especially in two main areas. One is the bridge on both sides. The approach to the abutment wall is failing on both sides. It has dropped down probably 10 to 12 inches. We're proposing doing the same repairs that we did to the bridge over on Polecat Creek there that is on Plummer Boulevard, where we would come in, drill anchor bolts into the concrete and the abutment, then pour a slab out roughly 10 feet long, tie those anchor bolts and rebar together so it's rigid here, and then this end floats and it can move up and down when they have frost, and then the top always stays right there with the bridge. It's worked perfect for handicap ramp, as like a handicap ramp and stuff over on the other bridge. It's been that way for 2.5, 3 years, and we've had no problems whatsoever. So we've took a bid on that the other day, and then the areas where the tree roots are going underneath the bike path, we would like to come in, cut all those tree roots out, dig that area out, repack it with rock, and pour concrete there. We didn't set aside any money specifically in the budget for that, but we did have in the budget for parks $30,000 for the Prairie Vista Park. We are not going to develop the Prairie Vista Park until that commercial area that runs along Route 4 develops, because the chance of flooding and flooding that park out, every time we get any kind of a half-inch or larger rain, all of the water runs down there and floods that park. Once the drainage is all done and that is developed commercially up there, all that gets captured, goes into storm sewers, and then works its way over around our park and then goes straight into the creek. So I would like to be able to take some or all of that money and do as much repairs on the bike path and try to get it as in good a condition as we can. I will get quotes or for all that work, or we can put it together and try to put together a bid package. But what I was thinking was that we do it in two different steps. The bridge needs to be fixed now. Somebody's gonna get hurt, I'm afraid, if they come off that bridge and their bike hits the wrong way.
Tree roots could become a necessity.
Yeah, the tree roots, there's so much of that stretch there. I would prefer to wait till fall when all the leaves fall off and that we can turn around and go in there and see what we've got. Less people use the bike path at that time. We can have it down for a week or so and then turn around and fix all those bad spots. Our plan was to come in, pour concrete in those spots, and then once we get all of the little bad areas, we'll do the same thing that we were planning on the streets. Come back and put an inch or an inch and a half overlay of asphalt over the thing and make it nice and smooth. So,
So would you, so with that 30,000, is that, use that now for the more pressing need? And then that's just something that would be looked at again in the future budget when that becomes a
yeah,
5-year project?
that's what I think.
With the bids with those two, the bridge and the tree root sections, what are you thinking? You mentioned with the tree roots in terms of timeline, where you think the bridge?
Dustin sent me the quote today, and I was gonna have Jim look at it to see if it was in the ballpark or whether we needed to get another quote. So, I don't really have a set number right now, but,
I meant time.
oh, time-wise? I thought they said that they could take care of the two bridge abutments in a week to 3 days, and the roots would take almost a week. So, like I said, I would prefer to do that in two separate approaches. That way we don't have the bike path down for 2 straight weeks. But I will get better prices, and if they're in the amount that I can spend without board authority, I need you guys to tell me that it's all right to move the money from what we were gonna put in Prairie Vista Park to cover stuff in the bike path.
So I know that the folks in Fox Creek were looking for that park for a long time. I too think that we shouldn't develop something unless we have plans to maintain it and upkeep it. I do have a question with that groundwork that we did last year in that area. Has it kept the water from those houses?
It keeps the water from going into the houses in Fox Creek, but it still backs up into that area and floods, yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't travel too far south or east, right?
It goes a little ways down east and then it goes down a steep and gets out of there, so,
But
but,
those houses had a real problem last year, so I'm glad, that we were able to do that work, but,
and that was with help from the township. They brought their big grader out and helped
yeah,
us.
very grateful for that. And then, I guess one of my points is, I just hate for us to miss any other possible financial opportunities. You know, there's another item on the agenda that talks about this local cure program and other types of funding maybe that the feds or the state give. So maybe,
We've been going through all of the possibilities. I've got a call into the grant managers for the state to ask them a couple questions on a couple other projects and possible funding for those. But I haven't got a call back yet. But I saw nothing in there where we can use that money for anything like this.
Yeah, the one that you got that draft, the local cures one, that's, none of that's going to be able to touch
Yeah.
anything that's, street repairs or infrastructure repairs or anything. That's purely COVID response. It's COVID response items.
And we could use some of the MFT concrete money to turn around and do that as, under sidewalk / bike path.
I just think that the only reason I made the jump on this cure thing is I think during COVID, people have been out more and they're home more often and they're looking for exercise, and I think that's the type of place that they end up.
Well, anything recreational that's being brought up left and right.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately, I would like to see the numbers before I had a decision on whether or not to use the 30K, because maybe it's 5K and
See if I've got that.
Is there a time frame on the bridge? Like, is there some sort of, like, when is it, it's dangerous now? How long, much longer does it have left? Is this an emergency
That's the quote,
situation?
that's the quote we got, and I would hesitate on saying what that bid was
Yeah.
out loud in case we're
You
off.
have to ask somebody else for a bid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Kristen, I think we heard from a resident of Springfield that got pretty injured on that, in that area, and that was one of the reasons why.
It has to be done soon, right? So,
Right, I mean, it's just a matter of time, you know, when things are that bad or repaired, somebody's gonna get hurt, so. I'd like to see how much of our reserve would be used for those things. And then what amount in the, what amount can our streets department do with respect to those branches and trees and that thing, or are we hiring that out now?
you're gonna make me put my glasses on.
Well, we were looking at both
the
ways.
concrete that's grown to the concrete,
Oh.
that's fixing where the concrete's raised up, it's like mini speed bumps.
Right, I'm just saying if you don't take care of the trees that caused that, then they'll just happen next year and the year after that. Like, it's almost like we have to come in there and, like Springfield does, and cut things back and keep that stuff well maintained. And I'm not saying again that the streets crew's not doing it now, but.
That's the parks.
Parks
The
are.
parks guys take care of that, and they went through and we hired National Tree to go through and trim everything back and push it back last week. So they did that 2 days last week. The bike path was closed down. But we still have trees that are growing that between what's our property, and most of those trees are over on the railroad property. And those trees, the roots are just spreading out, and when they do, they come over and they go underneath that asphalt and rock, and then it's called the asphalt to pop up like that. We would go back in, the plan is when we dig that area out, we go in and take a saw and cut all the roots all the way across, and then drag those out of there, and then pack rock back in there, but.
It's pretty bad, I mean, because.
Oh, it is.
I know a lot of people, I enjoy running that trail, and it's, man, I mean, it's pretty bumpy through there.
It is. It should have been where they went in and just took all the trees out when they put the thing in. But if you go along there, it looks so attractive and nice that you got a shade canopy as you're going along it. So you have one problem or another problem. They constantly grow, they grow out into the path, the roots run out into it. But if you turn around and stripped it down and had nothing there, I don't think people would like it nearly as much. And I think the folks that live back there or along the tracks there, they've counted on those trees to kind of block the railroad and the stuff behind it for so many years. If you came in and pulled all that out, I think you'd have a lot of upset neighbors.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe the railroad would be willing to help too if their trees are causing damage or whatever.
well, they do, they came along and they cut down every single thing that was on their side of the fence. Now, they own more property over there than where they put their fence, but that's where they deemed they were gonna put their fence, and that's what they maintain. They don't maintain the stuff on the outside of it.
So if I'm hearing you, trustee Edwards, you'd like to see the final bid before you.
Yeah, again, I definitely want the bike path repaired. I think it's just, what do you have to give up in exchange for that? That's really what I'm wondering.
All right, in a couple of weeks, I'll have those.
All right,
Anything else to add?
that's good.
Sarah?
2 weeks.
Since we've touched on the Cures Act, what that is, the path is, that'll be up in 2 weeks, just for you to vote. DCEO has sent us essentially like a grant agreement where we have to certify to their rules and objectives. So this is when you reviewed this language from the IML on how to accept that. So your vote will be to authorize our signature on it. Proceed on that program, and we're working to identify as much reimbursable cost as we can. That's the extent on that one. Pat, did you have anything else?
Thank you, Pat. Trustee Edwards, the Public Property and Recreation Committee?
We haven't met since our last meeting here. We still have those items, dog park location and where we could get the funding for that.
news is that last week that the police department got a grant, so just want to congratulate and thank them for that good work and seeking and soliciting and securing the funding. So, thank you. You want to say anything about it? Okay.
He needs to thank Dacia for winning him an award.
I mean, we do, we apply for any type of grant that's out there. We're fortunate when we have AAA. And as Matt said, Dacia does, she is a very vital role into ascertaining some of that stuff. And also kind of goes along with the traffic safety part as well, so. It's department-wide, we do a good job. That'll be great. Thank you, Herbert. Thank you all. And those.
One more thing, since public property, sorry to go back, but there was some concern raised with respect to J.C. Park recently from a citizen, and obviously, you know, we want to make sure that all of our parks are in the best condition possible. I think the J.C.'s are going to try to go out there and clean up a few things potentially as well, but I'll probably get with Dustin on some of the concerns raised, and then we'll see what we can do about them.
Thank you. Oh, now it's on village business. Do we have any other public comments? No. All right, thanks, Rob. All right, seeing no public comments, scheduled meeting, committee of the whole, 6:15 p.m. at Village Hall, September 8th. Any reason for a closed session? No reason for a closed session tonight. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Trustee made by Trustee Charo,
Second.
second by Trustee Gathers. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting stands adjourned. Thank you.
All right. Look at that. We made it.
Perfect.